African politics are murky, murkier than waters in a pond. The ongoing war in DRC, where the M23 rebels keep advancing from the eastern side bordering Rwanda and Uganda towards Kinshasa, has sparked so many discussions. If you've been following this channel, you might have come across my videos on Mobutu Sese Seko, King Leopold II and his exploitation of the Congo Kingdom, and Patrice Lumumba. If you've not watched the videos, I have attached them here. The issue at hand is the M23 insurgents and their significance to world politics. First things first, what is the M23 rebel group and what is its influence in Congo and beyond? To better understand the M23, let's go back to pre-colonial era in Rwanda, because Rwanda and M23 are like Siamese twins, inseparable. Rwanda is comprised of three ethnic groups: the Hutu, the Tutsi, and the Twa. Let's overlook the latter since they form a negligible part of the country's population. Before Rwanda's colonization, the Tutsi were considered creme de la creme of the country, occupying most of the social setups and calling the shots, while the Hutu languished in poverty. It is not surprising that any Hutu who obtained a large number of cows and land during conquest could easily buy their ticket to become the Tutsi. Rwanda gets colonized by Germany in 1897 up to 1916 before giving out its colony to Belgium. When Germany landed in Rwanda, they admired how the Tutsi ruled over the Hutu and adopted a similar system. In short, they assimilated the Tutsi, leaving the Hutu not only in the cold but also impoverished by poverty. As the saying goes, when you go to Rome, Belgium took over the same role from the Germans and continued looting the country. In the late 1950s, the country was fed up with the Belgian leadership and started fighting for independence. However, it was the Hutu who urgently needed the freedom since the Tutsi were sleeping with their oppressors. In 1959, at the height of tensions during the fight for freedom, the Hutu attacked the Tutsi for supporting the colonizer, killing hundreds and sending thousands of others into exile in Congo, Burundi, Tanzania, and others in Uganda. When Rwanda became independent in 1962, some of the Tutsi refugees tried to launch attacks on the Hutu, but were constantly hit like a wrecking ball, each time some of them losing their lives. Tensions continued to mount in and outside Rwanda, with the Tutsi forming a rebel group in 1988. The rebel group was called the Rwanda Patriotic Force, or RPF if you like, and it had one task: to look for ways to return to Rwanda and, if possible, overthrow the Hutu and particularly the president Juvenal Habyarimana. The RPF, under the command of Paul Kagame and similar-minded Tutsis, continued attacking the Hutus and destabilizing Juvenal's government. Fearing for his life and sending the country into another turmoil, Juvenal signed a peace accord in 1993 in Tanzania. The following year, that is 1994, the 6th of April, Juvenal's presidential jet, a Falcon 50, was shot down by a missile. Juvenal was not alone. He was traveling with the president of Burundi, Cyprien Ntaryamira, who was also a Hutu. According to preliminary investigations, the plane had been shot down on the orders of Paul Kagame, an RPF leader. Did you know that following the plane crash, Zaire's president, the modern-day DRC, Mobutu Sese Seko, took Juvenal's body and put it in a freezer for more than 3 years until the time he was overthrown from power? That's a new topic for discussion. I digress. So, Juvenal has been assassinated. What next? The presidential guards went on a rampage, killing any Tutsi they came across. In the next 100 days, the Hutu were unstoppable, killing any Tutsi remaining in the country. The Twa ethnic group also suffered as a collateral. The Rwanda military group erected roadblocks and forced every adult to give out their national ID, which made them easy to identify. It was not just that. At times, the military would get into greater depths, including knocking on people's doors and killing them. And no, it was not just the military alone. Civilians were in it as well. A Hutu would rise and slash his neighbor just because he or she was a Tutsi. Statistics show that between 500,000 and 1 million people the majority being the Tutsi, were killed. Not just that, over 250,000 women and children were raped in the melee, and millions fled their homes never to return. Big names from the Hutu ethnic group are said to have mobilized and funded the genocide. They include the then General Augustine Ndindilimana, Colonel Theoneste Bagosora, businessman Felicien Kabuga, Joseph Nzirorera, Alois Ntabakuze, and the head of Presidential Guard, Protais Mpiranya. The killings and abuse of human rights made the international community group from France to withdraw, leaving the civilians on their own. Thousands of bodies were torched, while others were dumped into River Kagera and drowned into Lake Victoria. Despite suffering a lot of losses, the RPF never gave up and instead mounted a series of retaliatory attacks and gained a lot of control, forcing the Hutu to escape the country into Tanzania and others into Eastern Congo. By July, the RPF had taken over Kigali and installed themselves as leaders in the country, with Paul Kagame taking over the helm of leadership and becoming the country's president. Since then, the two ethnic groups have been living in tension, and from time to time, attacks were recorded. A year after the genocide, the Kibeho massacre occurred, in which the Rwandan soldiers opened fire on Hutu refugees, killing over 4,000 of them. Now that you have a background of the Hutu and the Tutsi, let's get back into DRC, or what Mobutu renamed Zaire. Congo has been experiencing serious wars caused by internal and external influences. External influence by the French, Chinese and the US, not forgetting the Belgians, is partly to blame for the unending wars. The DRC is rich in minerals, and according to GSP Hub, the country's minerals are estimated to be worth $24 trillion. The countries mentioned above have been scrambling for these minerals, using the local population to mine them, including children, which violates basic human decency. As a way of exploiting optimal resources with minimal interference, these superpowers, in quotes, equip different tribes with weapons and distribute propaganda to have them fight against each other. Divide and rule at its best. This is why the DRC has never been stable, and several rebel groups have been operating in the country.
Uvira masasi iko mingi, hakuna watu. Mungini yote watu wanakimbia.
To understand M23, we cannot rule out Rwanda and the National Congress for Defense of the People, or the CNDP. The CNDP was formed by a former RPF militant, Laurent Nkunda. Nkunda moved to DRC and started the CNDP to negotiate for the Tutsi refugees in Eastern Congo to be accorded respect and equal resources. The Congolese government gave the request a nod, and several Tutsi got leadership positions, including serving in the country's military. However, the bromance between Kagame-led government and the DRC did not last long. In 2009, Nkunda was arrested and accused of aiding the smuggling of minerals from DRC to Rwanda. Negotiations took place on March 23, 2009 to have Nkunda released and fair treatment of the Tutsi to be accorded, which the Congolese government declined. Fuming, members of the Tutsi serving in Congo formed what they call M23 in 2012, with Jean-Marie Runiga Lugerero and Colonel Sultani Makenga becoming leaders of the movement. With the backing of President Paul Kagame, who is also a Tutsi, the M23 started procuring weapons, which they used to push their way into DRC. Since then, the M23 has been a thorn in the flesh of the Congolese government and army, with some of the Congolese army soldiers defecting to join the rebels for two reasons. First, the rebels pay handsomely. Unlike the Congo national government, which delays salaries and pays peanuts, the M23 ensures that its top leaders are compensated handsomely. And the second reason is that the rebels are more organized and use sophisticated weapons, which are irresistible to any soldier. Despite the increased popularity of the M23 in Eastern Congo, they have been accused of summary executions, rape, and forced recruitment. Step by step, the M23 has been gaining ground, from North Kivu province to Masisi, Beni, Lubero, and Goma. Having taken Goma and Bukavu cities, the rebel group is more than determined to push the army further inside. The war is complicated, but here are the major reasons why the M23 are determined to continue with the fight. First, the M23 is comprised of the Tutsi ethnic group, who the Hutu displaced. Following the end of the 1994 genocide, Tutsi took over the leadership in Rwanda, forcing some Hutu to flee to Eastern Congo. To some extent, these rebel groups are retaliating against the torture they experienced at the hands of the Hutus. Second, the M23 is backed by Rwanda. M23's predecessor, the CNDP, was accused of illegally smuggling minerals from the eastern DRC into Rwanda. The more M23 causes chaos in Eastern Congo, the more Rwanda continues to smuggle in minerals. Third and finally, the international interference. You recently saw this speech by Paul Kagame. Watch it here.
For the last 2 days, on Monday and today this morning, I spoke with the President of South Africa, who sought me out to speak with me on this matter because of their involvement in Eastern Congo. And he's also there pretending to be playing a peacemaker role. And he has a force that has been fighting alongside FDLR and has been fighting the M23 on the instructions of Tshisekedi, because these are people who are not supposed to be in Congo, that these are from Rwanda, or the M23 are not Rwandans, please. These are Congolese, and one time he accepts it, then another time he says no, part of it is yes, and then the other part is from Rwanda, and these are the. He keeps on going. And how do we, leaders of our own countries, accept this to go on forever and just accept that we shall be manipulated by Tshisekedi or whoever is supporting him? And South Africa dares even issue threats about what is likely to happen after that, and so on and so forth. Of course, we will see what threats they are talking about. Maybe they should have done that exactly for which they have been issuing threats. They should have done it to clean up the mess in Eastern Congo, or to fight back those who have been trying to clean up the mess. So then you have the whole international community just confused. They talked about Rwanda, they talked about the Nairobi process. Honestly, even here, maybe you will help me understand what all this means. The processes became an end in themselves. And the people leading these processes became more important than the results of the processes. The Nairobi process became a Uhuru process. Then the Rwanda process, it's like you can't say anything that will displease President Lorenzo. Definitely, this does not help deal with such a serious matters as we are faced with today. That in the end, just because they can't be addressed, we have such a situation like we have now. And if anybody, and above all, I don't understand how Tshisekedi keeps thinking that he will resolve the problems to do with rights of people militarily. Kill them, shoot them, bring in forces that are ready to help, like especially Burundi. Well, I don't know whether that has been helpful for the last few days or weeks. They have been doing that. So I want us to, Chairman, Your Excellencies, I want us, whatever we are saying and whatever we intend to do, we capture the context rightly and then proceed based on that, and maybe we can get somewhere. But otherwise, if we keep saying good things, saying that, and to each other, being nice, and then each one fulfilling their own interests other than others' interests, the common interests we have as East Africans, then I don't see how we are going to contribute effectively to finding a solution. But really, to have even had East African community expelled from Eastern Congo and everybody complied and then there was quiet, it's as if it was normal or that is okay. Everything dictated by the country or the person we are trying to help. I didn't understand that. And that's where we are now. That's how we are here, where we are. So let me maybe for now stop here. I would really want to hear advice of others, but I think it's not just a plaything. It's not, it's a serious matter, evidently, because it consumes people's lives. And the other day, 2-3 days ago, we lost people. There was a lot of sharing from Eastern Congo, from Goma, and killed a dozen people and injured hundreds. We will definitely take care of that. There's no question about it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
From the confidence that President Kagame exudes, you can tell that he has a strong force behind him. Kagame might not, or rather, cannot admit it. He could be backed by the European international community. Remember, South Africa joined the BRICS, and the supremacy battles between BRICS and NATO have been taken to the African soil. That explains why Kagame had a bitter exchange with Ramaphosa. Just like Kagame is suspected to be receiving protection from the big boys, so is DRC President Felix Tshisekedi. President Tshisekedi chose to hire Israeli and Belgian mercenaries to protect him. When the M23 busted through the barriers set, you saw them stripping the mercenaries of their belongings and chasing them away. Is Tshisekedi the only one to seek international protection in DRC? No, he's not. From way back in 1960s, Congolese presidents have been thirsty for international protection. Some of the world-known mercenaries in Britain, I'm talking about Thomas Ho, popularly known as Mad Mike, started his career in DRC in 1961, hired to thwart a rebellion in Katanga province. In 1964, Prime Minister Moise Tshombe hired Mad Mike to crush another rebellion called the Simbas. Mad Mike also worked with white mercenaries from South Africa, several CIA agents, Cuban pilots, and Belgian soldiers. Mobutu Sese Seko would also hire mercenaries to protect him and keep off Laurent Kabila. This time around, the mercenaries were from France. After Kabila successfully toppled off Mobutu Sese Seko, he hired mercenaries, only that this time round, he got them from Rwanda, Uganda, Angola, and one from Kenya. As the war progresses, we can only ponder on how division in terms of ethnicity, religion, and race makes Africa weak. It is about time Africa rises and addressed its issues.